All right, guys. So, fun story for today. Sorry about the cows. About a mile away from the house today on the way home from work, truck starts running like crap, smoking. And so I popped the hood after it died when I pulled off. Popped the hood and looked, and I am dumping fuel in the secondaries. So my redneck fix on the side of the road first was tap on it, try to get the needle and seat to set. And that was not working. And when I mean dumping fuel, it was pouring around the throttle blade shaft, and it was just pouring out of there. It was all over the engine. So redneck fix to make it home, crimp the tube for the secondary, because this is a Holley that only feeds in one side of the bowl. But I made it home. Still ran like crap. I guess I didn't crimp it all the way. I can still blow through it a little bit, but made it home. Ruined this tube. But so today's job is making a new tube, which I got some parts lying around. I'm going to try to make a new one. And I can't leave well enough alone, so I'm going to try to fix the secondary while I'm in there, because I don't think the vacuum secondary is working, and I got a rebuild kit, so might as well do that. So I'll bring you guys in, and we'll get started. Like I was saying, I'm going to replace the vacuum secondary. Little plunger in here. By the way, it's a 4160 Holley. Got to get the choke off to get the screws holding this on. And just so y'all know, I'm sure a lot of people already done this, but might help someone. The choke is screw here, here, and here. And then there's right there, a little Carter key, a little circlip thing in there to hold your choke. You got to pop that off to get it out down there. And then your choke will come off, and then I can get to the screws that hold the vacuum secondary on. Okay, just to give y'all a quick visual of what I did to fix the flooding problem in the back of the secondaries. Changed out the needle and seat. It looks kind of old. It's brand new. I have an old Holley kit from my dad from way back. And I changed out needle and seat and used a 13mm wrench. I took the cover off just to show you guys. That's what I did to fix it. It did have a little bit of trash in here, so I need to change out my filter before my regulator. So I wanted to show you all that and put that back on. As far as the fix for the fix to get home, I got this stainless steel tube, pretty close. I filled it with gas, put it in there, and it wasn't leaking, and I checked my needle and seat and let the gas run in, so it wasn't leaking out of the rubber. So should work, we're gonna see. But this was my wife's YETI straw, so hopefully I don't get in trouble for that. And I just use way too big tubing cutters, but these go down pretty small to cut that, and then deburr the inside, little deburr tool, because that'll clog up your needle and seat again. So let me get my screwdriver and we'll jump into that vacuum secondary. And before I lose it, here's the new cork seal for your vacuum secondary. If you don't replace that, and I just use a nail, but you can use a pick, whatever you can get in there. Just don't scratch up the body of the secondary. And you want to just get that out and replace it, because it's cork, and after you crush it once, I don't like to reuse them, and that's what makes the whole thing work. So let's dive right in here. 4 screws on top, and it is spring loaded. Okay, like I said, spring loaded. I'm going to spray this out with carb cleaner. Let's see. Well, that don't look bad. So it could have been that little cork thing not letting it work, and then that actually, it's almost like a vacuum leak, but that's not stiff or anything like that. I don't see any cracks, but got a new one here, so go ahead and replace it. It was tearing on the outside, but that's outside of where it seals. So when you put it on, you gotta make sure your loop is right there where the actual vacuum goes. That's what that little cutout's for. Same thing with the cap. It's got the hole. So, and I like the apply pressure coming up. So all I'm doing now is just making sure that the rubber's in there real good. You can actually hear it working. Okay. You don't need to kill these things. I just jump around and tighten them evenly. Okay. And then we're going to put in the new cork. What I said I was going to do, and I just realized I didn't do, was clean out that lid with carb cleaner, but I'm not taking it back apart. It'll be good. And then a good way to test these, push it up. Put your finger over there and see if it holds. There you go. And another little tip for side note, when you're taking these Holley bowls off, I found that a paint can works really good to sit on your intake, and then you take this bottom bolt out first, and it'll drain right into that little paint lid and catches probably about 90% of your fuel, so you don't spill it all over your intake. Alright guys, forgot to tell you about the vacuum for the choke. I'm going to go ahead and find the other one and replace that, but remind y'all before you put this back on. New one installed. Line that up as you're putting it on. Make it a whole lot easier, and this goes above it. This red thing goes above it on there, just so y'all know. so that was me installing my makeshift transfer tube, the secondary, vacuum secondary, and the choke. By the way, don't forget that little cork gasket on the back like I did. Sorry about that. Luckily I saw it when I went to put it back on because it was bad. So don't forget that, but I'm about to jump in and start it, and I'll take you in and we'll look for leaks and check the secondary, see if it's working. Alright, there you have it. Just check the makeshift tube I put on there. I'm not seeing any fuel leaking out of it. The secondary still, I think, isn't working quite properly. I actually went on YouTube and looked at Thunderhead 289's videos. Awesome guy, and I love his videos. And I'll put a picture of the port that I tested the vacuum to make sure it does work, where you blow compressed air over it. The vacuum is working, but I might have the wrong spring, and this is a 600, and that is actually a 305 in there because the 350 blew up on me. Well, started getting a rod knock, so it's sitting over here on the engine stand. But that's just a junk 305 I got from a buddy to keep this thing on the road, but that's a complete side note. But I just wanted to tell y'all the repair is working. The secondary does work, but maybe not 100%. It might be the wrong spring, but it is operational. And I'm pretty sure that choke, that little cork gasket I showed you, was probably leaking because it looked horrible when I took it off. So I'm glad I went in there and messed with that. And I needed to lean out the choke. You probably saw that in the install. I turned the choke down to where it was open a little bit more because living in Florida, we don't need that much choke here. But no means an expert still, but I'm just trying to keep this old Chevy running, so hope it helps y'all out.